Welcome to episode 104. And in the last episode, I spoke about what to do when you start to think about hiring or promoting a new manager into your business. So I thought let's extend on that and talk about what are the essential leadership skills for long-term success. And when I talk about leadership isn't just about managing people, which is a super important skill that we all need to learn, but it is about growing as a leader and helping our team to thrive. So what skills do we need as people managers, as leaders, to be effective long-term? So I feel like there are 5 main skills. Firstly, emotional intelligence, self-awareness. Secondly, effective communication and influence. Third, strategic decision-making. Fourth is delegating and empowering others. And finally, last but definitely not least, building a culture of accountability. So starting with emotional intelligence and self-awareness, we've got to understand our own leadership style. And I talked about this a little bit in the previous episode. And I've spoken before in other episodes around whole brain thinking, which I absolutely love that model, because anything that gives us self-awareness, that enables us to see, this is who I am, this is how I think, this is how I lead, this is how I'm motivated, and to actually understand that not everyone's like me, but we do see other people through our own lens. And the only way for us to really understand that, and therefore to be able to lead other people appropriately, is to have that self-awareness, to know, okay, this is how I lead, this is my preference, but it's not everybody's. So that is a really important skill before you ever get into people management, to just get self-awareness. And whether that's through doing something like whole brain thinking, or whether it's through doing a strengths profile, doing a growth mindset survey, all of these things are really easily accessible, and they will help you so much in the workplace as a leader, but also in your personal life as well. And also, as part of this emotional intelligence, self-awareness, is just understanding how our emotions impact on us and how we respond under pressure. So we can also do diagnostics around emotional intelligence to understand how well we recognize, use, manage, and understand our emotions. And those types of skills and self-awareness are going to help us in the long term to be a really effective leader. If you have ever been managed by someone with low self-awareness and low emotional intelligence, you absolutely know what I'm talking about as to why this is such an important skill. Because if you can't understand other people, if you can't be open-minded and curious as to what's going on with others, but you're only in your own little box, then you're not going to be able to lead effectively, which means you're going to impact on the performance of those around you. You're going to increase turnover in your teams, which increases cost to the business. Secondly, effective communication, which also takes us into influence. So we've got to move from telling people what to do to coaching and enabling others. And quite often that means asking lots of questions rather than giving lots of answers. And this can be really tough, especially when we have been used to knowing all the answers, to being a high performer, to being known as someone that's really great at what we do. And so people come to us and say, hey, how do I do this? What do you think of this? If we just give the answer, we're not necessarily helping people on the learning journey. So it's a real skill, and it does take time to learn how to coach, how to ask questions, and how to encourage people to get those answers themselves. And part of that is providing feedback. And we need to provide feedback that is useful, that's on time, that's very specific, so it can help the person to understand where they've done something really great that they can keep doing again, or where there's things that they can improve. And also, as part of effective communication, is how do we navigate conflict? And the word conflict gets negative connotations, but there's always conflict in the workplace. And I don't mean that it has to be people standing there at fisticuffs, ready to have a go at each other. Conflict is just that we don't agree And maybe when we don't agree, people go into negative behaviors. So they could come right out and be aggressive, or they could become really passive aggressive. So that's why if we can navigate conflict effectively with confidence and fairness, it's going to create a better work environment. Okay, the third one I talked about was strategic thinking and decision making. So this is just thinking beyond the day to day. And, this can be really challenging. We all have a lot to do. That's just the way of the world. We have so much inputs coming in every day. So it's actually stopping and thinking, what do I need to do this month? What do I need to do this quarter, this year? I started to develop that vision and to share that with the team. We want to be able to make data-driven decisions, but we've also got to think about the people in that. We've got to bring our teams along for the journey. So it's how do we actually take the time to sit down, to think about that vision, that future, and then bring people along so we can encourage that innovation and continuous improvement. Fourth, delegation. So delegation is not, here's all the stuff that I don't like to do, and now I'm going to give it to this person. Delegation is actually understanding what are the things that I'm doing right now that actually is not vital to my role. It's not core to what I need to do to add value, but it's actually that other person, it's vital to their role. It's core to them because it'll help them develop, or because this is an area that's particular strength of theirs. So it's how do we identify what those items are and empower others to be able to do them. So it's not micromanaging, it is trusting the team and identifying where they have great skills, where they have great strengths, where they need to develop, and to really enable that to occur. And finally, building a culture of accountability. So again, accountability can get negative connotations. People start to think about, high performance culture and, we're not like that. That's not accountability. Accountability can be done really positively. It is about encouraging ownership. It is about doing what we say we're going to do. We're not damaging relationships through doing that, because we have a culture where we actually have positive intent and we're doing things because we know that it's the best for each other and for the business. We're celebrating wins, we're recognizing each other, and we're keeping engagement high. That's what accountability looks like. And where we get this idea that accountability can become negative is when we, start thinking about organizations that actually take that whole idea of high performance a little bit too far, and it becomes competitive and it becomes negative. And that's not what I'm talking about at all. But if you think about where you don't have accountability in an organization, people don't do what they're going to say, they don't take ownership. What does that look like? That is not a great environment. So as leaders and as people managers, it's thinking about these skills that take us into long-term success. So I'd love for you to reflect on those 5 things and how much of that have you started to develop in yourself? Because this is not I develop it today and then I move on. These are lifelong, ongoing skills to start thinking about. And if you've received value from this episode, I would love it if you could leave a rating or review over at Apple Podcasts or Spotify, so someone else can also find the episodes to help with their business. Episodes are released every second Monday, so click the subscribe button and you'll get notified of when that's available. Thank you for joining me. If you have any feedback, questions, or ideas for future episodes, head on over to amplifyhr.com.au or connect with me on LinkedIn and we can start a conversation.